There's a player here in our Pittsburgh Pirates franchise rebuild on MLB the Show 25 that I probably haven't given enough love to throughout the rebuild due to some other players at his position to be very excited about. And that player is Mitch Keller. He has, through the first year and a half or so of the rebuild, probably been our second best pitcher. He's had consistently good ERA numbers. The whip has been great as well. He doesn't maybe have the same strikeout upside as our top pitchers, Skenes and Jared Jones, but he has been playing really well for us. He's on contract for the next couple of seasons after this one as well at $15 million a year. And for this level of production, I'll absolutely take that. I think he is on a really good value contract for us, and we've yet to see him pitch today, which we're going to see for the first time here, going against a Philadelphia Phillies lineup that we've seen once already this year, but we get another look at them here, and can't really imagine a better start to the game than that beautiful fastball on that upper inside corner. The Phillies lineup is pretty solid, so I feel like this is a good measure for Keller to see what he can do against some hitters here, and that includes Bryce Harper, who's very talented. Gonna get him out on a grounder, though, so a 1-2-3 inning. Meanwhile, our offense will be going up against Zach Wheeler, who has been pitching really well so far this year against, a lineup that has certainly had its struggles so far. We haven't seen a lot of our major league bats yet in the season, and it feels like a big reason for that is there haven't been a lot of reasons to look at our major league offense play this year, and they go down 1-2-3 in the first as well. No hits across the board in the first inning. The sweeper gets Schwarber chasing outside the zone for his second strikeout. Nick Castellanos dribbles it over to shortstop where Castro makes the easy throw. Fifth straight batter retired here. Keller showing the kind of pitching that he's been showing in simulation as well, as it's 6 up, 6 down to start the game. We've been privileged to watch some pretty good pitching from our lineup so far, and kind of just doesn't really matter, it seems like, who we watch. I mean, not every game is as good as, a Paul Skenes episode like we had just last time out, but really good pitching here in the Pirates organization. We knew that was the stronger side to start things off for sure, but I feel like the pitching has even exceeded expectations in a lot of ways, while the bats where we knew they were going to be farther away, they're even below my low expectations here. Laureano to left field, and Schwarber cannot cut it off. That's going to score a run. It might be a triple for Laureano. He slides in safely, and the Pirates are aboard with an RBI triple courtesy of one of the two big free agent hitters, or I guess 3 if you're including Josh Bell as our DH. Laureano coming up clutch here in the second, and then, of course, Bell the one to score it. A couple of free agent additions working together on that one. Rodriguez, that's going to hurt right in the hip. Gets him to first base. Gonzalez right to the first baseman, and no, it's a double play. That is truly unfortunate way to end a strong second inning. Only one hit, but got a few runners on base and one across home plate. 0-2 pitch here against Sosa. Over to Gonzalez, another ground out here. That is where Keller has made his money so far for us, is forcing these grounders and these soft contact fly balls. Hasn't, again, been much of a strikeout pitcher, but he's pitching some good stuff here today. Already 3 strikeouts on the board. He's keeping that 1 strikeout per inning that you expect from these higher-end strikeout pitchers, but he's had a good start today. Bottom third now. The Pirates looking to add some more runs on the board, and it's not going to come via Brian Hayes swinging at that high heat. 1-0 pitch for O'Neal Cruz. Maybe my biggest disappointment so far in the franchise. I want to talk about Cruz and some of the other hitters a little bit later on in the season. This wasn't really, I feel like, the episode for it. Maybe after the draft we can have an episode solely focused on our hitters here and kind of what's been going on with them so far in the rebuild. But we've been seeing a lot of these low-scoring games, and while I'm happy for it on one side, it's clear that there's a lot of room for growth, and luckily for us, we have some good hitters coming through the pipeline. I feel like the guys that we drafted this year, later on here in this episode, we'll be going through the prospects that I've scouted for this upcoming draft. I think we have a chance to have back-to-back really strong hitting classes, and that's whether or not the generational prospect that I previewed early on in the season falls to us. And so I'm excited in that front. And it looks like there's just going to be a lot of openings for these guys to come up and play, because I'm not sure who among this offense is somebody that I can count on long term. Brian Reynolds, homers, 428, his 11th year of the season of kind of our day one Pirates roster. He might be playing the best on the team, but he's also into his 30s now. He's under contract for a long time, but who knows if by the time the rest of the offense catches up to him, if he'll be regressing or not. So the one guy that I feel like has been performing the best probably of kind of these long-term Pirates, you just don't know how long to keep him. And again, that's probably a discussion I'll go into a little bit deeper in probably not next episode, but the one after that. I feel like that'll be a good time because we'll have a good idea. We'll know who we were able to select in the draft, which will give us additional context to talk about these players. Schwarber down swinging again for the 4th strikeout of the day for Keller here. He's doing a really nice job keeping the Phillies off the board. Still no runs on the game for them, but also doing a pretty solid job here with the pitch count. As on pitch 54, he's already got 2 outs here in the 5th inning. He's also right back to that 1 strikeout per inning pace. 5 Ks is not a number he hits all that often, despite his good production. This one is going to be hit right up the middle into the arms of O'Neal Cruz, but a base knock here with 2 outs. Sosa, he'll also get on board. Marsh will settle in second base, so Philadelphia in a good spot to potentially get their first run of the game, but they're going to depend on the 8-hitter to get them there, which is Weston Wilson. He goes down swinging on the fastball, top of the zone. So Keller keeps the Phillies scoreless now through his 5th inning pitched. What a game we're watching here from him. At times looking like Paul Skenes out there with some of these high heat pitches. Rodriguez extends the Pirates lead, the 2nd solo homer of the game. 3 runs now aboard for Pittsburgh. Nearly getting out to 450 feet there. Absolutely smoked that ball. 115 off the bat is some serious power. Timed it up perfectly. 3-0 for your Pirates here to kick off the bottom of the 5th inning. Gonzalez hits it pretty much directly at the shortstop there, so he'll be down for the first out here, bottom 5th. Hayes hitting .223 here on the season. Struck out earlier in this game and gets the 1-out single here. Through that right field, infield gap. Payoff pitch. O'Neal Cruz underneath it. And Schwarber comes up and makes the play for the 2nd out. Still nothing doing for O'Neal Cruz here in the game. Castro, 1-1, popped it up again. This time hauled in by the second baseman to end off the 5th. Got the leadoff homer, unable to do much else after it. But the Pirates extend their lead, and that'll bring up the 9-hitter Rafael Marchand. He got a big hold of this ball into the outfield gap and over the wall for a homer. No longer a shutout here in Pittsburgh against the Phillies as you get the home run from that 9-hitter. Always sucks to lose a shutout against that. Top of the order back up now. Can they find some sort of momentum or will Keller bounce back from the homer given up? Felt like he's been pitching so well apart from that one at-bat, so I'd trust him to keep this inning relatively quiet as he gets back-to-back outs following the home run. Up in those mid-70s now in terms of pitches. He might be out here for a 7th inning. But he still has, I think, a little bit of juice left, and he's been pitching really well. Horwitz, really good for us last year. Not playing quite at the same level this season, unfortunately. Still hitting in the 3 spot for now. We'll see if he can keep that spot for the rest of the season. Reynolds with a homer earlier today, but not going to do much with his opportunity this time around. Bell. He's scored a run and chops it over to first base. Another quiet inning for Pittsburgh. Schwarber right back to Keller. Nice job with the glove. Good reaction time there to get the first out, and he does come out here for the 7th. See if he can complete the inning. This will be when he starts to get tired around when he gets into the 80s here with his pitch counts. But gets the 7th strikeout, and I love this ump cam. Sending him right back to the dugout. March, 2-2 pitch. That was really well located, but he's going to get on base with it. As the diving Laureano could not quite glove it. He doesn't seem particularly proud of that one, which he honestly shouldn't be. Sosa now has a scoring opportunity after the stolen base. Hit into foul territory. Horwitz, can he snag it in play? Yes, he can. 7 innings, 1 run allowed for Keller, 4 hits for the Phillies. Did he even have a single walk? I can't remember one off the top of my head. Really well pitched here by Keller. Now, I mean, we haven't watched some of our we haven't watched our 4 and 5 pitchers this year, so it definitely falls apart after our top 3. Our pitching would not look as good if we were watching a Oviedo or a Heaney start, and I will say that. So it's not like our pitching is 100% dominant, but our top 3 are all really, really good, and they perform well, both in the sim and when we watch. I know Jared Jones has maybe been a little bit more inconsistent in the sim, but obviously still have a ton of hope for him. Santana into the game here, the setup man in the 8th, and he starts it off with a really nice slider. 9 inches of break there on that one. Getting the strikeout on Wilson. to start his night. Another guy who's maybe not known for his strikeout stuff, but he gets back-to-back strikeouts here to lead off the 8th. That's 9 total Ks so far in the game. This one won't be a third punch out, but it will be a third consecutive batter down. Dennis Santana comes in and handles business. No hits allowed. This will likely be our last chance to add to the lead here unless we get a blown save here from David Bednar. Can we give him a little extra breathing room? So far, not so good. O'Neill Cruz, nothing to write home about here in this game. Castro hit this one well, but just short of the warning track. It is hauled in by Kyle Schwarber, and so it will be a 1-3 ball game here as David Bednar will enter the game for a save. Back on opening day, when we watched him last, he had a bit of a scare, but ultimately picked up the win. We'd love to see him just retire this order 1, 2, 3, but we are going against some of the better hitters in this Philadelphia lineup, so it's going to be no easy task. Bryce Harper, 1 for 2 today. He just hasn't been able to do anything for Philadelphia as he's swiping at that low ball in the dirt. 0 for 3 for Schwarber as well. Swinging at the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and that is a Pittsburgh Pirates victory, 3-1. Out of the 4 runs scored, 3 of them were home runs. Neither team was really able to get kind of consistent offense in any inning. It was solo shots providing most of the action here on the offensive side. Some good pitching. 7 innings for Mitch Keller, his 5th win on the board, and the offense did just enough to find victory here against the Phillies. Let's give a quick update here highlighting our best and worst hitters on the season so far. And I think the biggest surprise and biggest positive note for our hitters so far this season continues to be Nick Gonzalez here up at the major league level. Henry Davis is also doing a really nice job. He's not our full-time catcher. He splits time with Rodriguez, who's also playing okay with a 686 OPS here. We have Brian Reynolds, who has a 743 OPS and 11 home runs. If we switch over and talk about the worst players here, Brian Hayes at a 608 OPS. This guy just has not been able to figure it out offensively, and I think there's just a theme of this offense just really underperforming so far throughout the first couple of years of this series. You know, the Pirates, when you think about their position players for years now, it's been Reynolds, it's been Hayes, and it's been O'Neill, just not really getting the production that I would like to get out of these players right now. And it starts to make you wonder here. In terms of O'Neill Cruz, we have him on contract, or team control at least, for 2 years after this one. Hayes, we have through 2030. That's still a long time left on his deal. And then Brian Reynolds, we have it until 2031. He is 31 years old, and he's still regressing in overall this season. What do we do with these players that have been kind of, again, these guys that when you think of the Pirates, you think of these guys at the position player spots. What do we do with them? I think, last year I was pretty content just standing pat, not trying to do anything to shake up the boat. And I think this year will probably be the same. But maybe as soon as this offseason, we have to start thinking about what will be kind of the next era of Pittsburgh baseball. In terms of our pitchers, just kind of want to highlight some of our best and worst. Yohan Oviedo, not doing great for us. Dennis Santana, either. Andrew Heaney, we brought him back just basically because of lack of better options. We have Jared Jones playing well for us. Mitch Keller playing well for us. Paul Skenes doing well. And we have a lot of bullpen arms that are pitching really, really well this year. This has been a great year for our bullpen. It's a shame that our offense is so bad that we're still losing all these games when we're getting such a great year out of the pitching staff. Like, honestly, only 4 pitchers on the entire staff over a 4 ERA. You got to be pretty happy with that. We just don't have the hitters to complement our pitching staff this year. It is time to talk about the upcoming draft, and I'm excited to show you what we have discovered here for this upcoming class. I'll just say after like week 3 or 4 or something, maybe 5, I was scouting discovery players every single week. Our discovery scout was an MVP for this process. I don't think there are any insane discovery prospects for this draft, but there are a lot of quality ones, and it seemed like almost every single week I was finding somebody else in discovery that would be a really fine pick at 38, 41 or beyond if they make it that far. And so I'm pretty excited that we'll be able to get at least 3, if not more than that, position players, hitters in this class. I will say I'm not in love with any of the pitchers. I mean, this is the number 1 guy in the class. He's injured, first off, but his maximum overall is 64. So not a great pitching class, unfortunately, this year. I mean, there are some other guys who are ranked higher by MLB, but those aren't guys that we're going to pick. I mean, if we're going to take a high-level pitcher, it's going to have to be 38 or 41 with one of those 2 guys if they stay there. And even then, Melendez is injured. So let's go ahead and go through some of the players that I've selected here, starting with options at number 3. Now, of course, you have to talk about Billy Fink. He is a generational prospect here. He doesn't look like it right now because I've only scouted him for 1 week, and generational prospects never look generational after 1 week of scouting. But that 9.8 bonus demand is one key factor, as is his well-rounded skill set here offensively. Generational prospects always have player cards that look like this offensively, and of course, when he was unscouted, his gap was only 6. Now it's 18. All these things lead me to be very confident Billy Fink is a generational prospect. If he makes it to 3, that's an easy selection. I have toyed with the idea of banning generational prospects for this series. I don't know if I love the idea. I mean, having a generational prospect is just so fun, but it also, of course, does make the rebuild easier. And so as of right now, I'm leaning towards not banning generational prospects, but I'll just say I can be convinced if there's a particularly convincing argument and you guys don't want me to have generational prospects in this rebuild. That's fine. I could be convinced because I have found a couple of players that I would be willing to take at number 3. Number 1 on my board right now after Fink is Robert Lockett. I was looking really for 2 archetypes for this draft that I wanted. Of course, I was just going to take the best player available, but if I could get one of 2 archetypes, I would absolutely love it. One of those was a first baseman that could hit absolute nukes, and Robert Lockett looks just like that. His power profile, particularly against righties, is really nice, and so I think he would be a great player. Very, very, very unlikely. In fact, I'd say pretty much impossible for him to get a potential. But you're looking at a player that I think has a really good chance of coming in kind of in those mid-70s from the rip and having at least mid, if not maybe even high, a potential if he comes in at the very, very max of what he can be. So I like Robert Lockett a lot. You're not going to get the 95 potential like we did last year with David Yon, but you're going to get a player that can contribute early and is a massive hitter. The other player is Joshua Sanchez, and he is just a very safe player, going to be guaranteed in the 60s, going to be guaranteed high B to low A potential. He has a little bit of power on him, has some speed, pretty solid defender. He's just that low contact and plate skills has me putting the Lockett, the first baseman, over him. And one of those 3 players is guaranteed to be there at 3, and I'll be taking one of them. That's pretty much as straightforward as it gets. But once we start talking about 38, 41, and beyond, you have to start thinking about the players that are discovered. One of the players that I really like here is Robinson Brown. He is the second archetype that I was really looking for in this class, and that was the leadoff type hitter. That was a archetype that eluded me in my Rockies rebuild. I had a chance to take one early in the class. I took a pitcher instead, and the pitcher was insane, but then I could never get that archetype. It eluded me, and I want one. Robinson Brown is that archetype. On base, stealing, all there. His arm is going to be terrible, so he's probably not a center fielder. I'd probably move him to left if we were to draft him, but I really like this player. He's actually going to be getting up to 100% scouting here in Week 14. He will be the last guy that we scout because I just barely discovered him at the very end of the scouting process. And so I didn't think I was going to get this archetype, but then at the very last hour, we found one. Pedro Ponce is the next best player, I think, of the discovery players. He just has a really well-rounded skill set, another switch hitter, which you absolutely love to see. And again, just this, he doesn't really have a glaring weakness. His power versus righties will be his worst attribute, but it's not going to be terrible by any means. I really like Pedro Ponce, and I think he's the best player of the guys that we discovered this year, though just because I'm looking for the archetype and I think it's close, I would probably have Robinson Brown here on my board above him, unless, you know, the final 40% scouting, we find out that he's actually not that good. If he kind of holds his rankings, these guys are very close to each other, I'd probably have Brown over Ponce on my board. Now, one guy that looks really good, but I think might not be as good as advertised here, is Raul Del Villar. His power is projected to come in the 80s right now against the lefties right off the rip, and this game just doesn't really generate that as much. And so every now and then you'll get a player that your scouts will just be wrong on, and I'm thinking Raul Del Villar might be that kind of player. But if he's not, like if this is his actual ratings, yeah, he's going to be an absolutely awesome player. Getting 80 power versus lefties off the rip would be insane. I was early on in the process, he was the first guy that we discovered. I thought I was going to just take the risk that our scout wasn't lying and that he would be this good. But now that we have so many other good options on the board, even though he's technically the highest ranked by our scouts of the guys that we discovered, there's so many that are close that I have more confident are actually going to be that good. Normally when a scout lies to you, you don't really have an obvious tell, but for this one, I think that power versus lefties is tipping me off that he won't be as good as our scouts make him up to be. There are some shortstops that I like. Tommy Chang here, another guy with great on-base abilities here. He doesn't have quite the speed as the outfielder, but another guy that I think will be a pretty high floor, low, but kind of low ceiling guy. Unless he comes in at like 75 overall, then he'll be absolutely insane. But I don't think he's coming in with 89 contact right off the rip. I actually project him to come in probably at his best in the middle of his ranges would be my guess, but maybe even towards the lower end just because of how high his contact versus right and vision are right now. I can't imagine they're giving a guy high 80s right off the rip on both of those. But we'll see. If he comes up on the high end, that would be insane. I feel like if he was on the high end of his ranges, though, he'd be ranked higher than 12th by our scouts. William Bird here is a guy that I normally would love to get up to 100% scouting, but our scout just found too many good position players in this cycle, so we're going to have to settle for 60. I think the gaps are a little bit bigger. You're going to get a 19-point gap here, but ultimately I think you're probably going to get a similar potential between these players, and William Bird is just going to have a lower overall to start, if I were to guess, just based on the ratings that I'm seeing here. He'll have a pretty decent arm, though, it looks like here. You have Octavio McHenry as well, who doesn't bring much offensively off the rip. I mean, guaranteed at the max in the 30s for some of these ranges offensively, but comes with a strong arm and some decent speed, and 18 years old with potentially high B potential, maybe even, he could be A, although I doubt he will be. And then we only had like one guy that we actually wasted on scouting again, because as soon as we started discovering position players, that was what I was doing every week. There was always a discovery player to scout, so I didn't actually end up scouting any MLB ranked players past our first pick other than Herman McCollum here. So I think we have a lot of optionality to at least get 3 position players in our top 50 picks. And if we want to maybe take one of these pitchers instead, maybe we can. But yeah, not a great pitching class. I'll just say that. I wouldn't be sad to just not really select a pitcher until, rounds 4, 5, and 6. Because I just don't think there's a pitcher that's really catching my eye. And of course, we do have some good pitchers both on the MLB team and coming up in the farm system. So I'm hoping that we can just continue to kind of farm out position players as long as we can. Here's a good player that our scouts might not be as high on as I would be, because you're getting guaranteed at least 87 potential here. So maybe he could be in play if he lasts till 38 or 41. But yeah, not impressed with this pitcher class at all, which is kind of rare. And we're going to scout one closer that we discovered. But again, this last week we'll be getting up to 100% on Robinson Brown. And that is my scouting update. Let me know some of your favorite prospects. Who would you pick among our discovery players after round 1? Who do you think are the best among them? Let me know in the comments section. And next episode, we will be officially in the class where we will be selecting our second crop of amateurs here. And I think we have a chance to get another really, really solid class ahead of us, especially if Fink can fall. That's all I've got here for the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back soon with another. And until then, let's go Bucks.